All right. Good day and good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another podcast. And obviously, this is following our new format for 2020 called Fuel Up Friday. And just for transparency, I'm recording this on a Saturday because that's when I have some free time to do it. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, as usual, the past 3.5 years, we usually have a guest co-host. But for these shorter episodes, 30 minutes or less, we're experimenting with a new short format and just some solo episodes to push out some directed content. So, in that interest, we are going to target today situational awareness. And the reason why I'm targeting this is because I got to tap into that this week while traveling on business and making sure I didn't get skewered while driving my car with some scrap metal through the windshield. There you go. I've set the stage. Situational awareness, or when we were firefighting, we would say, you got to keep your SA up. So, ladies and gentlemen, the reason why I decided to actually target this for the recording today is because I've been working on the book, finishing the editing of the book. Is going to be, obviously, for the newer listeners, is So You Want to Be a Hotshot? ? Since obviously I did that for 2 years, learned a lot, continue to learn from that to this day, and want to inspire and give back with that book, which will be dedicated to nonprofit fundraising for fallen firefighters and their families. So, situational awareness, how would you like to define it? Well, when the book comes out, you'll have an entire chapter dedicated to it because I've already written that. So, but in the interest of today's shorter format episode, I'll tell you a little story this week. I was traveling across upstate New York. I do it about once a quarter on business. This was a hefty week this week here in January 2020. I was, my God, I think I got up to the Rochester, Buffalo region of western upstate New York, up near the Great Lakes by Monday night because we were running some events on training for professional contractors from Tuesday and then Wednesday, and then Thursday, and then I was going to head back to Pennsylvania, and the gentleman that I was meeting up there to help run the trainings was going to continue on to the city of Albany for a Friday event. So a lot going on. And that's with my partnership with our numero uno client, Sales Management Solutions, founded by Jennifer Flodine. Shout out, Jen. And anyway, that's where, honestly, that's most of my time is spent with that company, growing sales, crushing commissions, helping businesses work with other businesses, and so much more. Well, anyway, we had already finished the Buffalo event that Tuesday, and then the Rochester, New York event that Wednesday. So I was driving my car on the huge I-90, which is the interstate that crosses across all of upstate New York, and so I was between Rochester and Syracuse, right near some big national refuge or some, I don't know. They got a big statue of a bird right along the highway, and it's a whole lot of wetlands, and you can tell it's all preserved property. Well, anyway, I'm driving along, and if you guys ever drive on a highway at high speeds behind something like a dump truck, you'll sometimes, if they haven't secured the load, or even if they have secured the load, you might, if they're carrying like dirt, sand, gravel, stones, etc., it'll be sprinkling back on your windshield just from the air currents. So in that situation, if you want to save your paint, your clear coat on the paint of your car, change lanes if you can, or just drop back a little distance and you're not going to be pelted by all that stuff. So anyway, I'm driving along and I can see ahead of me this huge 18-wheeler, one of these super high-sided tank trucks, meaning it's all open on top. And normally I'd see those things and I'm like, you know what? They're probably usually traveling with trash, but it's usually, these are like the big industrial level trailers. So we're talking like it's thick steel holding these up. So usually they're filling these things with scrap metal so they can handle the capacity and the weight. Anyway, I start getting I can hear the stuff bouncing off my windshield. And sure enough, I look ahead and I could see his canvas cover on top of the truck flapping a little bit, not a lot. And I was like, oh, good, great. This guy didn't secure his load. I got crap blowing out of the truck. I don't know what's hitting my car. So I'm just going to change lanes. Let him pull ahead a little bit. We were doing about 70, 75. And I don't even know why the guy's in the fast lane, by the way, because 18-wheelers really should not be in the fast lane on an interstate from friends of mine who drive truck tell me that. So anyway, so I figure I'm good to go. We continue on for another mile or so, and he passes under an overpass. And he goes under the overpass from another highway above. and it really shifts the wind current. There's already a lot of crosswinds happening that day because there was a cold front coming in and there was some snow coming into the Syracuse region. And I'm already past the halfway point between Rochester and Syracuse, almost there. And anyway, I see the canvas top really like heave up, and it looks like, I mean, I now know it busted off another one of the retaining ratchet straps, these big high tensile strength woven canvas straps holding it down. And anyway, so I think I'm good. I was like, this guy's a joker. And he finally moves over to the right lane. So I was like, okay, he's moving into the right lane. So I move into the fast lane, going to start working my way up because I don't like to follow guys like that. Let's just get ahead of him. Everything will be fine. Well, I don't have time for that because next thing you know, I see something fly out of the top of the truck. Not just once, but twice. Two things come blowing out of the top of the truck. And this is from the front of the trailer, not from the back of the trailer. So, and I look, I'm like, that looks like, what does that look like? Like a noodle? And I was like, it's flying pretty fast. And I look closer, and I'm tracking this thing now because here's your situational awareness, ladies and gentlemen. This isn't about defensive driving. You could relate it to that because actually it does connect to your responsibilities as a driver, right? It's not just, you drive safe. You also, to ensure your safety, need to keep an eye on what's happening around you, right? You're doing the left, right side view mirrors. You're checking the rear view mirror. You're always keeping an eye on what's ahead of you. And I'm the same way when I'm riding my bike on a street or even on a mountain bike on the trails. You want to know what's going around you at all times. Your head's on a swivel, as some of them may say. And anyway, so that being said, I'm tracking this thing. I'm watching it. Two things blow out of the truck, two different pieces of actually scrap metal. The lighter one blows off to the side because it's lighter. The big one stays like straight above the truck, comes arcing out. And I look and I'm like, dude, that's a big bent pipe. I'm like, that's not going to be good when that thing comes down. So now I'm like, all right, I'm just trying to pace myself. I back off. I'm like, all right, I want to see if this thing can hit the ground before I get upon it because I got traffic behind me. We're doing 70 miles an hour. And this thing's coming right at my windshield. So I was like, all right, let me just back off. I check my mirror. I'm like, all right, I got room. If I need to change lanes at the last second, I can. So now I'm in the back. I'm actually back in the slow lane. And because that guy's in the slow lane, I'm like, I'm going to have to change lanes because this thing, I'm like, is it going to blow to the left into the fast lane or is it going to stay in the slow lane and come right at me? Let's track it. I'm like, dude, if this thing goes through my windshield, I can potentially get decapitated, killed, or severely injured. So anyway, my essay was way up, ladies and gentlemen, because as I track it, it's coming down. I'm like, all right, change lanes. I move left at the last second. And sure enough, man, that thing decides to turn. And luckily I did. It would have either hit my hood and came through the windshield or hit the windshield directly on. I luckily don't have to figure that out. I whip into the left lane. I got plenty of room in front of me, behind me. Nobody's going to get hit by me. And all of a sudden I hear a boom on the side of my car. So I thought I was going to get around this thing. Well, it hits and just right into the right off the passenger side, the door. I'm driving a Subaru Outback wagon. So the rear passenger side door, it's my road warrior for traveling business. That thing is a beast. It just goes forever. Anyway, dude, I can feel it hit the car. And I was like, oh, thank God. And I was like, I hope this guy knows that the top of his truck is ripped wide open and now there's dangerous metal flying out. And I don't even have time to look what happens behind me. I guess that piece of metal stayed on the highway or started skidding down the highway because another car runs it over, like destroys their bumper, rips like the side of their driver's side off. Like those guys got jacked up because next thing you know, I see the guy pulling over. So he's got the cue. So either another 18-wheeler called him over, they're walking over their CB radios, or he just happened to know. It's like, hey, dude, there's ratchet straps blowing off of his driver's side of his truck, torn off, and that canvas thing is blowing all over the place. So he works his way over to the shoulder right in front of this refuge. And I'm like, well, I don't know what kind of damage is done to my car. I'm getting over right away. So I pull over in front of his truck. And then next thing you know, that other car that I didn't even know what happened to it, that pulls off in front of me, another few car lengths up. So I throw the hazards on. We get out. The driver's still sitting in his truck doing his thing. So I walk around, I assess the situation. We're cool. No major damage to my car. I got like a dent, maybe the size of my fist. Just bounced right off my door, cracked the paint, big, huge scuff. So I'm not worried about it. I pay for insurance. And a big commercial truck like that, they pay for insurance too. Nobody was injured. And then, so I walk up and check on the other dudes, and sure enough, all their plastic bumper stuff is cracked and ripped apart. Like those guys got jacked up. There was 3 dudes. So we walked back to the truck to meet the driver, this young Indian guy. Um, and again, for people hearing this, from India, not whatever your definition of Indian is these days, that he's literally of Indian descent, and he's young, and he's like, sorry guys, I'm still trying to figure out what's going on. I'm like, well, I can tell you what's going on. You're blowing out scrap metal down the highway, and you're going to kill somebody. I was like, I'm cool, I'm chilling. And so long story short on this, I go around, I photograph everything on his truck, the torn straps, the canvas all blown off from the driver's side over to the passenger side, photograph the door, the company information. This guy doesn't have a clue what to do. He's never had this happen before. He's trying to call his safety officer. We're out there freezing our butts off in the cold winter air. And we're like, dude, this isn't rocket science. Give me your insurance paper. I will photograph it. You can photograph my insurance paper and I'll leave. I'm good. We'll let the insurance companies deal with it. Is this some rocket science? I don't need a police report. I'm fine. I have meetings to get to. Nobody was injured. Those guys weren't injured. I wasn't injured. So we're there for like another 15 minutes while this guy's playing phone tag with his safety officer. And sure enough, I was right. He comes down. He's like, okay, we just got to take photographs and blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, as I said 15, 20 minutes ago. Rookies. Anyway, fast forward that story. It's already cool. Like yesterday, their agent had already called me. We exchanged information. I'm leaving for vacation on Monday. We're going to go skiing in Colorado. So unfortunately my car is going to be sitting at the airport. They can't look at it. They've got photos of the dent. I said, listen, when I get back, I'll be working from home that Tuesday and that Friday. So those are the dates at the end of January. Just give me a call. So I'm not worried. I moved on. So back to the theme of this show is keeping your SA up, your situational awareness. So this isn't just to deal with flying scrap, okay? The point of this episode is to help you assign this into your health, business, and lifestyle, right? So how can this fuel those three domains of your life? Well, one thing is health, right? This totally applies, okay? I can't tell you guys why why am I so focused on being sugar and grain free, right? I don't want those inflammatory responses. I want the body to talk to the mind. I want to be clean enough and healthy enough so my body's going to tell me when I consume something that's not good, or I can feel when my body swells up if I did consume something not healthy for me. That's communication. That's part of your natural SA, your situational awareness, right? Your body should be aware of all situations inside of it and around it. So this totally applies to your health. It totally applies to when you're playing sports, right? I mean, if you ever played football, basketball, baseball, heck, when I go mountain biking, I go skiing. I'm always keeping an eye out what's going on around me. I can't tell you the 11 years I spent working on race courses, skiing, and helping with the ski race coaching at Camelback Mountain here in the Pocono Mountains, Pennsylvania. Shout out to the USSA, all the USSA racers and ski race coaches out there, and go US ski team. And shout out to my old team, the Passive organization, the ski race team for Camelback, a nonprofit. And anyway, the point of that is that I could have been standing on the side of a hill, just sitting there coaching kids, or herding cats, if you will. and next thing you know, you got a rookie skier off and he's out of control, and they could blast you, dude. Like, I've been hit multiple times while skiing by other idiots who don't know how to turn, or out of control, or they took a turn too fast or too late. They weren't preparing for the icing conditions, which is very common here in the Northeast, whatever it may be. Now let's tie us off to basketball, right? Dude, people are coming at you left, right. You want to make sure you hold on to the ball. You don't want them to steal it. That's simple stuff. Football, enough said. Okay. If you're taking a hit or you're getting tackled, you want to make sure you fall right. You want to come down the right way, minimize your risk of injury, et cetera, et cetera. So situational awareness, how's this apply to your business? Dude, you're never going to be able to plan for everything. But if you can lay some groundwork, you can be aware of how other companies similar to yours, businesses to yours, are being affected by changes in politics, changes in laws around you, changes in, if you're an outdoor business, the weather. How do you adapt to weather conditions as a consultation business who has to travel or has to do on-site things? There's so many different ways to apply to this, but there's this natural ability, like situational awareness. Okay. How am I going to address this situation? How am I going to be aware of my competitors around me, my consumers, my customers? How is it all going to be affected? Now, to be fair, a lot of this applies as you do it. Like, you're going to have to, as I've said on the podcast many times, put in the reps, right? Your situational awareness actually improves as you make mistakes or as you succeed. Hopefully you pause long enough to be aware of these things and to assess what happened in that situation, right? Like, you know what, if I had to go through that situation again, and even if it was successful, it's like, would I have done anything differently? And I'm not saying live in the past. What I'm saying is at least pause long enough to assess the situation, maybe address the pros and cons of what happened, and then you categorize that in your brain. Or you could document it. You can treat it like a case study. And then in the future, when other situations happen that are similar to that one, you've got a bit of a dialogue going on inside of your head, or you've got records documented. So you can say, you know what, I've actually dealt with this situation. This happened 2 years ago. Here was the customer. Here was the case. This is what we did. Great. Now I've got some ammo in my tank or some fuel in the tank, the fuel for the fire, to address that situation in the future. Okay. Situational awareness. You're becoming better at being more aware of these situations as they continue on, as you experience them, as you move through them. Now, let's tie this into lifestyle. Dude, guys and ladies, total lifestyle component. I mean, I'm going to go ahead and go completely random here and apply it to different forms of lifestyle. Let's go with a jobby job, right? I've had a lot of jobs over the years, guys, a lot of jobs. So I've been a bouncer. All right. So that was my side hustles. I wouldn't even call it a hustle. It was just, I don't know. I had nothing else better to do. So go work in a club as a bouncer. Now, the issue with working bar security is that it's kind of hard to put in the reps, so to speak. You really want to prevent putting in the reps. So your head is always on a swivel. Your eyes are always peeled all night long. But then sooner or later, which is what made me stop doing it after like 3 years, somebody decides to take a bottle to your head. Yeah, that happened to me. Not really that enjoyable. And, it took me down. I mean, 6'4", and back then I was, good 200, 205. You take a rolling rock glass bottle to the head because you got some dumbass and like 2 or 3 of his bros that are all hammered, trying to surround you and like distract you. And then boom, like that's not a cool move. And this is in the middle of a club on the dance floor. It was a whole thing. So clearly I failed at that situational awareness. But that's back in the day, man. We're talking like, oh man, that's probably like 2001, 2000. I don't even know. It's probably, it's back that long. Yeah. We're recording in 2020. So I'm dating myself. So 19, 20 years ago. Anyway, so clearly that situation taught me that even though you have been being a bouncer for 3 years, and I've been a bartender and I've been a bar back, so you're in these environments, I still wasn't ready to get taken out by a bottle. And obviously I stopped bouncing after that because I'm like, dude, my brain is too important to me, and screw that. I'm only getting paid $50 a night. And even then the the bar owner was such a crackhead who he actually ended up dying of a heart attack because of his drug issues. He wouldn't always pay us. So wasn't exactly the best guy to work for. So love my coffee. So back to the essay of your lifestyle choices. Again, I already hinted at, the mountain biking lifestyle and the road cycling lifestyle is that, and this relates back to fitness, but it's like being aware of the things around you. If you're on a paved road and all of a sudden there's glass, or, there's some retread blowing off from a truck. And this is a great segue into actually the guy I was traveling with. Shout out to Ken Barton of the Arzell Zoning Company. He shared a great story over dinner this week when I showed him what happened to the car. And he's like, dude, imagine that when you're on a motorcycle. And I was like, oh yeah, that's right. You used to ride. He's like, yeah. He's like, I just don't trust the roads anymore. So he decided to share, his lifestyle, what he loved. He loves riding motorcycle, that freedom, the air, it's less safe because you don't have a car around you, but there's such a freedom. Because the first time I rode a motorcycle was, a legit like 500-mile weekend was in Arizona when I was out there firefighting. You just get to take in all the mountains around you and all the colors and all the bugs too, but it's very freeing. It's a great lifestyle, fun, but on a motorcycle, your head is definitely on a swivel, guys. Like you're constantly looking at the mirrors. You're being aware of your spacing with the car in front of you, car behind you. And this goes for automobiles too, ladies and gentlemen. If you're riding people's asses, you are not at a safe distance. So this is driver's license 101. But hey, people are doing it. But back to his motorcycle story. So he shared how we were discussing how in those big 18-wheeler tractor trailers, a lot of times companies go cheap. And instead of buying all new tires, they put retreads on them. So they basically, the tires are almost bald, and you could buy a cap of tread, and they, like a volcanic adhesive, they seal it, they glue it on. And the tire is good enough to keep driving for a while. Well, those things, you see them on the side of highways all the time. You ever see like a random strip of rubber just laying on the side of the road? That's what that is, because eventually they delaminate, the adhesive pops loose, and those retreads rip off and blow off. Well, those are not cool, even when you drive over them on a car, because you got metal wires coming out because the metal fibers that are inside the tread and everything else. Well, now this, Ken's story is like, dude, imagine that coming at you, and you're on a motorcycle, and you could crash. I mean, straight up, like, dude, you're getting hit. You're already doing, let's say 50, 60 miles an hour. And this chunk of rubber is coming off of a truck tire that's already spinning, at 70 miles an hour. This thing's now bouncing down the highway. And he actually said it was flipping in midair. And now he's trying to figure out, can I lay on the brakes hard enough so I don't ride the front wheel and still not either hit that rubber head on, or hopefully drive over it or bunny hop over it, which good luck trying to bunny hop a motorcycle, but he's driving a Harley. So long story short, he did what he could, still hit the rubber. Bike gets wily crazy, and he's recovering, and he has no idea. He's trying to refire the bike to try and accelerate away from this thing and out of it, and the bike's starting to die. And he has no idea that the rubber retread had ripped off some stuff off the bottom of his bike, including the spring component on his kickstand. And apparently there's a sensor in there, and that was you're not supposed to be able to drive your bike with a kickstand down. So he's like ripping and riding. He's getting to the side of the road, trying not to get run over by cars behind him. Next thing you know, he's dropping off into a rut that was made by another truck in the mud. He's trying to make sure that doesn't take him out. And he comes to a stop, and he's like, and then, the weight of the bike starting to take him over. He can't stand the bike up on a kickstand. He's just trying to hold the bike. And at the end of the story, he literally, the next thing you know, another truck comes blowing by him, and he's barely holding onto the bike. He just recovers from this, saves his ass, and another truck blows by. So all this 18-wheeler air current just blasts him. And he's like, next thing you know, slow motion. Him and the bike are going over, and he's trapped under the motorcycle. Crazy story. So luckily somebody else sees all this. They pull over. They ask him if he needs help. He's like, yeah, man, just help me stand this bike back up. And he's trying to get it refired and restarted. And he figured out, he had to figure out how to tie up the kickstand and all that stuff. And that was the end of that story. But a great example of, man, dude, his sensories were like on fire, dude. His eyes were peeled. His ears were peeled. He's looking everywhere. He's hitting it no matter what. He's got to use his experience on the bike to hopefully recover, which he did, and not eat shit and not crash. And I want to tie all of these examples and back to the beginning of the story here, which is using situational awareness across life. Again, I had this emphasized when I was firefighting. I got to learn the true purpose of keeping your SA up, right? Your head was always on a swivel. You're looking for ember wash coming over the hand line you just dug, making sure that the embers coming off of the black where the fire isn't catching your green side of the hand line on fire and spreading fire where you just secured and protected. So that's just one example. I mean, then there's running chainsaws, not spinning around while your chainsaw's in your hand and cutting your partner next to you. Like, where are people's hands and arms at when they're grabbing brush as you're running a chainsaw? Like, there's a lot of stuff I could get into it. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty educational. But I'll tie that back to just big picture is be prepared to kind of slow down, assess your situation. If you're not in a moving vehicle, not on a motorcycle, you're in the safety of your home or safety of your office. So many of us nowadays, thanks to the technology, and I'm guilty of this, all of our technology, these, I'll hold up my new iPhone 11 Pro, not bragging. I've never bought a brand new iPhone. I always buy a used or a couple years old. And now I have the latest one. Wholly expensive. Anyway, it's not a phone. It's not a phone. It's a freaking computer, people. It's literally a computer in your hand. A $1,200 iPhone, air quotes iPhone, is a portable computer, that you can also make phone calls off of. That's really what it is nowadays. But some of the problems with all this level of amazing technology we have is that things become so automated that you might miss something. Things become so quick that you don't slow down enough to at least assess what's happening there. One of my clients, we were just coaching their team on how they're doing their social media posting. And they're just like, I'll go back and I'll look at the posts and I'm like, guys, this could have been fixed before you even posted it. Like there's spelling errors, grammar errors, you missed a hashtag, whatever. And I'm like, guys, like why don't you just, before you hit post, just reread what you just wrote? Proofreading. Hello. Sorry, there's no spell checker in an Instagram app or in a Facebook app. You can, if you have all this stuff pre-drafted ahead of time, great. You could save them in things like cards. Like I use the Trello application for project management. So I highly recommend Trello, ladies and gentlemen. It's one of my affiliate links on the LIVETHEFUEL.com. But you can't pre-plan everything. So at least slow down enough to assess, okay, what's happening here? What's happening there? Can I edit that? Can I tweak that? That's what I'm talking about here, right? Slow down enough. Keep your essay up. Really learn to amplify your situational awareness. And this is a huge building block of success that I think I've always taken for granted after I left firefighting, because I was only doing that for 2 years. But again, now all these years later, it's now 2020. I was a rookie in 2010. So this is my 10-year anniversary since I took a risk and tried that risky, job. And I'll never regret it. But I'll tell you, it taught me a lot about still being fast, but still slowing down, knowing to assess, and then always, and then like after every fire assignment, and usually at the end of every day, we would review what happened that day. What did we learn? What worked? What didn't work? These are some great side effects that come out of really focusing on that situational awareness. And again, keeping the essay up. So there's my short Fuel Up Friday tip of the day, whatever you want to call it. It's about to just take a deep breath, assess it, and every time moving forward, learn from it. Keep amplifying that situational awareness. It will serve you well in years to come. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. That's our podcast. More to come, as always. I have like 10 shows in the tank. We have plenty of content over the next 2 months already. I actually need to adjust my schedule because I'm getting too much content. I like to keep stuff pretty fresh. I don't like to have one of my guest co-hosts wait like 3 months till they get to hear their show. But it happens. Sorry. We have a lot of people wanting to come on, and I'm going to keep sharing it. So anyway, guys, besides that, since we're recording on a Saturday, it's been a busy day. We still working on the final editing of the book. We just got done launching some new changes to the website on the homepage for the Fuel. More to come on that. I got somebody giving me some SEO assessments on that. What else happened today? I'm designing graphics for one of my logo. I'm not a graphic designer, but there's stuff that I can easily change before I have to pay my outsourcer. Interviewing a new VA. I'm looking at bringing on some new virtual assistant talent because I'm just getting too busy, and time is money. So anyway, there you go, guys. So your tagline and keywords of the day: situational awareness for your Fuel Up Friday. All right. Well, thanks for tuning in. And if you're trying to reach me from January 20th to January 27th, good luck. You can follow me on Instagram and Facebook because I'll probably be posting a lot of fun content while we're skiing in Vail, Colorado. That's right. We're heading back to go hang with the in-laws and at their house in Edwards, Colorado. If you are a regular friend of mine who listened to the show and want to catch up, dude, let's make some turns. Let's cut some snow. Let's ride the edges. Let's go fast. All right, ladies and gentlemen. We're here to fuel your health, your business, and your lifestyle. There's your Fuel Up Friday tip, situational awareness. Thanks for tuning in. We'll talk to you guys again soon.